There's another cope that MAGA people used to say all the time to justify their sycophantic behavior. They will say, well, if Trump is on the Epstein list, why didn't Democrats release it? If they obviously released it. That shows how unserious they are, because these people think that Democrats actually care about winning. Like that's
no, they actually. We've talked about it before. I think you and I have talked about it before, and now I'm actually certain the Democrats like to lose. They like to be the minority party. They like to be the underdog. They prefer it. They're more effective that way. And I, that's why I don't even entertain these. I once in a while I'll reply to the AOC to make fun of her, but I don't even entertain these Democrats anymore. This is so bad. They're worse than they're worse than the right. They're worse than the right.
MAGA being surprised about Trump Epstein. I feel like I've been gaslit by MAGA for years, because I was always confused why MAGA talked about Epstein. Like, if you look at my Twitter history, these are things that like the post-duopoly communist left, we've been exposed because we try to expose the decadent behavior of the capitalist class. You know what I mean? So this has always been a story that Tanky's been on.
Right.
Like, this is the way we can expose how the capitalist class runs sex cults. We've been talking about this. So when I saw the right wing bring up Epstein, how many times did we say, don't you know your boy is involved with Epstein too? Like, we said that all the time over the years on RBN. So absolutely. I was always confused on why people on the right were talking about this story. And it appears that they was literally just that delusional.
Yes.
There's no explanation. The only explanation of why they was obsessed with Epstein is they were so delusional that they thought Donald Trump was hatching a scheme. And I'm dead serious. This is the shit they were saying. They were saying that Donald Trump got close with Epstein on purpose, infiltrated the deep state so he can get information on Epstein. And then he was going to expose the Epstein crime family. He got close to Epstein just to expose him. And then whenever people on the left call out Trump's and Epstein's connection, they be like, oh, you Norman, you don't get it. You don't get it.
Yeah, there are quite a few that are still holding on in kind of the QAnon camp. But in other big news that goes along this line, what the hell's his name? The January 6th, the shaman. He came out today and said, fuck Trump, F Israel. Shit. Yeah. So if QAnon shaman is off the train, this is a bad sign for Trump. I can't believe those words came out of my mouth. Like, as a political analyst, I'm talking about a man who wears horns and became famous for walking through the Capitol on January 6th, and he's making political commentary he said F Trump, F Israel, and he wants the Epstein files. So maybe some of those diehard QAnons are also kind of, I think that the events of the last 2 days, or at least Monday and Tuesday, well, yeah, today too, have kind of really put these people on the back foot with this whole thing. Like, at first I was like, they might be able to get through this Epstein, like, smoke and mirrors cover up if they can play dumb enough. But after these last 3 days, I think it's too far gone now. It's too far gone. And now we have the Wall Street Journal story that came out today, which I don't know. I guess it's up to people whether or not they want to believe the Wall Street Journal, but the Wall Street Journal has had a bunch of very exclusive leaks that turned out to be true in this presidency. That's one of the president's biggest complaints, is there's so many leaks in this administration. So apparently the Wall Street Journal says he's on there multiple times. So
yeah, there's fairly new footage that CNN has. I have it. Here it is. I have it saved here. I'm going a little bit out of order, but since you mentioned that, it's been very interesting to me to see this very obvious pivot the Democrats are making. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but I saw a poll. I didn't get a chance to report on it. There's a poll that shows that a larger percentage of Democrats are distrustful of the government regarding how they handle the Epstein files compared to even Trump supporters.
Wow.
Like, Trump supporters actually, like, this, it was a shocking poll. Like, when they were like, oh, you actually know that Democrats are actually more concerned about this than Republicans? You would never know this.
Wow.
So they read those polls, and then they seen this massive political weakness, which shows how incompetent they are. They had this gold mine of an attack on Donald Trump, but they couldn't do it because that's how loyal they are to Israel. Like, they rather protect Israel than defeat the guy they said was the biggest threat to democracy, which is why they didn't end the genocide, and which is why they didn't release the Epstein list. There's another cope that MAGA people used to say all the time to justify their sycophantic behavior. They will say, well, if Trump is on the Epstein list, why didn't Democrats release it? They will obviously released it. That shows how unserious they are, because these people think that Democrats actually care about winning. Like, that's
no, they actually. We've talked about it before. I think you and I have talked about it before, and now I'm actually certain the Democrats like to lose. They like to be the minority party. They like to be the underdog. They prefer it. They're more effective that way. And I, that's why I don't even entertain these. I once in a while I'll reply to the AOC to make fun of her, but I don't even entertain these Democrats anymore. This is so bad. They're worse than the right. They're worse than the right.
We are seeing the MAGA right going after Trump way more than liberals went after Biden for. And actually, let me rephrase that, because quote unquote going after doesn't really even mean anything. You know what I mean? Because technically, there was people who went after Biden for genocide, but they voted for him anyway. You know what I mean? Right. So does that really matter? Does that really something that we're supposed to measure? But we're seeing people literally burn their MAGA hats. Like we never seen anything like this before. We're seeing Trump's own people rally to Thomas Massie.
Yes.
Isn't he from like Kentucky? Yeah, a random congressperson from Kentucky. He's losing his base to Thomas Massie. So I had this up for a while, so let me explain what we're talking about here. Because obviously the main headline is Trump being on the Epstein files, but I'm going to show you guys a few receipts. We're going to go through this in order. Yeah, no, I got just sit back, relax. I'm going to put you on the journey here. So let's start here, where Thomas Massie, and this red flag, and this shows that Donald Trump is mostly a fucking idiot. Like, he's not like this political chess master that a lot of people make. He's also just really dumb. But the problem is his rivals are dumb too, so no one can really take advantage of it. But if you are in the Epstein files, Donald Trump is doing the worst thing possible if you want to cover this up. He constantly talking about it, constantly retweeting it, and he's the most guiltiest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. So Thomas Massie was like, hey man, I got enough Republicans where we're gonna force the release of the Epstein files. And then Donald Trump was like, fuck Thomas Massie, this motherfucker start writing a diss track. Immediately started going after Thomas Massie the second that he's put this resolution to release the Epstein list, showing the world how guilty he is. So here's the tweet, or it's Truth Social. I seen Trump get ratioed to death on Truth Social trying to cover this up. So
he got ratioed last week. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, they're ratioing him every time he go after Thomas Massie. Like this is. I don't like Thomas Massie. I've explained many times before, but it is greatly hilarious watching Massie own Trump every single goddamn day. Well, where was AOC and Bernie Sanders owning Biden every goddamn day? Yep. So that's just another example how the liberal Democrats are a worse code. Where was AOC just owning and ratioing Joe Biden? Like
she was his number one cheerleader. She was really good at making cover for Joe Biden.
Yeah, she was his number one propagandist. They have photos together holding hands that's going viral again. Mm-hmm. Biden, do you remember the photo out with Biden and AOC look like they just finished going to prom together?
Yes. It's just I hate this timeline.
Yeah, we gotta laugh there. The only thing that stops me from being insane is just laughing. And then every once in a while I disappear for 2 weeks like I just did.
Yeah.
Like I laugh to cope with it. Then I just disappear when I can't do it no more. So you guys can look forward to that again. Here, let me read this Truth Social I had it for a while because I find this shit hilarious because how much is backtrack. Thomas Massie is like breaking raising records because every single time Trump go after him, he tweets a link to his fundraiser. He said, hey guys, Donald Trump is trying to protect pedophiles. Can you help me fucking hold him accountable? Or Donald Trump is trying to explode the budget. That's why he's mad at me. You want to help donate to hold him accountable? Donald Trump is sending weapons to Ukraine again. Do you want to donate to me and help hold him accountable? And my question, what was stopping all the progressives from doing this for Biden? I know I keep going back. I got derangement syndrome. I keep going back to this because it's crazy that there's a lot of people who still believe in them. But you guys realize that AOC and Bernie could have easily done this to Biden during the entire administration. Just take him apart, all his human rights violations, destroy him, and then use whenever Biden and the media to go after them when they were undeniably right, use it to fundraise. Like, what we thought. Remember, Sarah? We all was Bernie Bros when we was young and stupid.
Yep.
This is what we thought they was gonna do. You know what I mean? That's why we wasn't that stupid, but we were stupid in trusting them. But we had a solid plan because we wanted a bunch of motherfuckers that would do this before we realized that's not possible within the Democratic Party. You know what I mean? All right, let me read the tweet. All right, I'll shut up. Thomas Massie, the worst Republican congressman, and an almost guaranteed no vote each and every time, is an embarrassment to Kentucky. He's lazy, slow-moving, and totally disingenuous. A real loser. This is pure cope.
Mm-hmm.
And because this is not working. Never has anything positive to add. Thomas Massie never had anything positive to add to my warmongering, Sarah.
No.
He's never positively adding to me hiding a pedophile ring.
And he keeps talking about primarying the guy. So that's where all the fundraising's coming from, because he keeps talking about primarying him. And Thomas Massie just says, I'm not going to be able to go up against this machine, guys. I'm going to need help. And then the money just pours in.
Yeah. And I don't know for sure. I'm just going based on what they say. So based on what they say, Thomas Massie has a lot of fucking support in his district. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the reason why he's doing this Maverick thing. He's one of the people like Marjorie Taylor Greene who wins by like 70 points every election. Deep red, so he's not really in trouble. And what is this rival going to do? You know what I mean? I'm going to primary Thomas Massie because he said he want to release the Epstein files.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. And they're so successful at like building up all of this smoke and mirrors and distraction that like nobody remembers that at the end of the day, that's what this is. Massie has been pushing for the Epstein release in that bipartisan bill. And now, or that bipartisan, whatever it was, measure, and which obviously failed. And that's a huge threat. That's a huge threat to Trump. And that's what people should continuously focus on. Trump is going after Massie, not because he votes no on Big Beautiful Bill, but because of Epstein. That's the only reason. That's it.
Another thing is, I'm going to use this as a shameless plug for mutual aid. You guys realize those mutual aid events is the only thing that kind of keep me sane, right? Like, I laugh, I bang my head at the keyboard. Like, I have Zoya, bro. I'll be melting down. I'm like, bro, I want to cover this no more. And I'll be fucking literally about to break. That's why I don't be streaming sometimes. I'm like, bro, I don't even want to talk about this shit. Like, there are times where I go through my stupid doomerism. I'm like, why the fuck? What the point of even going like? But then I do mutual aid. Start reaching people, realize that we have solutions, we have ways. Yeah, Zoya know what I'm talking about. Zoya damn near my fucking therapist sometimes. Like doing those little breaks when I do mutual aid and organize. If it wasn't for that dude, I would be fucking a mental head case after anything that we've seen. So that's just a shameless mutual aid plug. That's another way I cope as well with this nonsense. You know what I mean? The last part here, looking for someone to run against this guy, someone I can endorse. Oh, Jesus Christ.
He doesn't even realize that his endorsement really doesn't have any political weight anymore. It just doesn't. There's really there's not a lot of political currency in the MAGA piggy bank right now. Yep. So good luck to him if he wants to primary Thomas Massie, who is incredibly, like you said, popular in Kentucky. Incredibly popular.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't looked too much into it, but I saw a report that explained how he was extremely popular in this district. He's not going to worry about losing. That's why he's not really worried about these.
No.
Primary threats.
And you mentioned MTG. She's the same exact way. But these people, as much as we dislike them, or I actually don't dislike MTG or Thomas Massie, but many people do, they're down there talking to their constituents. They literally are. They go to town halls. They go to barbecues. They go to all of that crap in the community. And Marjorie Taylor Greene will say, I'm literally talking for my base. Like if it doesn't, she said it the last time, once you lose me, that's it.
I think that's an interesting point. I actually don't dislike Thomas Massie either. I recognize his position as my class enemy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. He's obviously our ideological enemy, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
But I can appreciate him, and he follows me, so I gotta be. He's a mutual.
Really? Sarah killing the game. That's a big follow on that. Well, like, dude, Thomas Massie has he has great moments. I love his moments with the AD, calling out the ADL, calling out APAC. Doesn't take any APAC. I don't know any other money.
People that on the left or whatever you want to call it, they need to realize that the reason why they like Thomas Massie, or they find themselves liking or drawn to, is not only the maverick in him, but there's a lot of libertarian policies that started off in the social libertarian movement. That's where all the libertarians stole their stuff from the socialists. So there's a lot of concepts that Thomas Massie supports that I do get behind, very much so. But then there's the whole libertarian thing that
brainwashed people don't know that communism is the true libertarianism.
It really is.
We're what people think libertarianism is. You know what I mean? We're going to end the capitalist police state. We're going to end imperialism. We're what we think. A lot of people think libertarians is. Whenever you hear libertarians complain about capitalism, complain about our given way. Whenever you hear them complain about communism, they actually complain about capitalism. How many times have you guys seen them make some shit up that actually they claim happened in Russia but happened in the United States? They will say in Soviet Russia, don't you know that there's secret police who would arrest people who are enemies of the state? You mean a pro-Palestine protest? Anyway, I don't want to go on another fucking commie rant, but you guys know, I made this right before. But every single critique they have of communism is actually a critique of capitalism. But the reason why I actually do like Thomas Massie on a lot of stuff he does. I don't dislike him, you know what I mean? But we have to acknowledge, and we can't fall into like personality. This is me speaking to my audience here. We can't fall for personality codes. We have to acknowledge that he's positioned himself as a class enemy. He's an anti-communist, and he's even against universal health care, which I think is deranged.
Yeah, that's really is deranged.
I think that's you support the massive explosion of medical debt. And I heard it. If you guys ever hear his argument, I'm not saying it so you guys understand where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? His argument is we can't have single-payer health care because we will have doctors who will be slaves, like the most lazy bullshit. Can you imagine if a firefighter was like, I don't want to take out the fire in this person's house. That would make me a slave if you forced me to do it. That's a brain rot argument you hear from these libertarians. I'm sorry, call me authoritarian if you want to, but if you're a doctor, you don't want to serve, if you don't want to help everyone, you don't deserve to be a doctor. That's period. But anyway, these are just the quick reasons why I think we should always make sure we understand that he's our class enemy. He will watch you die on the street without flinching at the end of the day. But 100%. I had to say that first because I will have to say now, pivot now, and say I love this motherfucker is destroying Trump, and I'm a big fan of what he's doing.
He's in Trump's dreams. Like, Trump is terrified of this guy. Trump is terrified of anybody that is like cooler than him, or that people perceive as cooler or more, or someone that's more well liked than him, especially by his base. He is seething, and now he's trying to push Tulsi Gabbard again because he's really running out of like this sort of, these sort of star power allies. So now he's back to pushing Tulsi. It's fun. I like it.
Yeah, so now that I've bashed him a bit, now I can unapologetically enjoy the rest of this segment where Thomas Massie is destroying Trump and MAGA. Let's watch this clip because he explains, and he just embarrassed. Thomas Massie had one of the biggest W's I have ever seen in a politician in the modern era. I am not exaggerating. Someone let me know if there's a bigger dub by a congressman. You guys realize that he forced Mike Johnson to show his hand, and Mike Johnson canceled Congress until September. Do you guys understand how much Mike Johnson is getting destroyed because of this decision? That happened because Thomas Massie did what? He forced the vote. Where did we hear that strategy before?
Oh, wait a minute. I think we met during Force the Vote. The first time with AOC. Jesus. All right. We're forcing the vote again, but the Republicans actually do it. That's why they're more effective than the Dems. But go ahead. Forcing the vote.
He forced the vote on the Epstein list and forced Mike Johnson to show his hand that he's willing to shut down the entirety of Congress in order to protect the pedophile. Guys, this is probably the most mad I've seen MAGA since the initial Pam Bondi cover-up. Like, after that story released, this story that came out that's still developing over the last 48 hours, bro, MAGA is fuming over Mike Johnson and the Republicans in Congress covering for these. So here's Thomas Massie. He's having fun with this. He is exposing these people, and this is glorious What Thomas Massie is doing for the libertarians is what we wanted someone to do for us in the left. That's why, even though I just explained why I don't like him, I have to admire his work here. Like, this is fantastic stuff from Massie here. Let's watch this video.
The Rules Committee kind of come to a standstill last night over this issue. I mean, you used to be on the Rules Committee, and obviously you've been caring a lot about transparency in the Epstein case. Was that surprising at all?
No, it's not surprising to me. I don't think this issue is going away over August. I think that was the admonition of our speaker in there, was just sort of stick your head in the sand, let the administration maybe dissipate this by dribbling some stuff out. I mean, I'm heavily paraphrasing, but work. I mean, people have wanted these files for years. And then, the president's staff, administration, his own children, his vice president have promised that these files would come out. And now we're being told it's a hoax. It just doesn't wash. And
you guys see how Thomas Massie is just cooking them with facts? Trump can have all these meltdowns, calling them lazy, slow. It doesn't matter if you just sit there in the pocket and you destroy them with facts. And I keep going back to this because this is exactly what we wanted from Bernie and AOC, and they sold you out. This is what people want from Zoran. He's not even doing this. He haven't even tweeted about the famine in Gaza. He condemning globalized intifada already. There's no progressive example of this. But let's continue, because I'm gonna let this play because he's doing a great job just destroying the Trump administration and Mike Johnson.
Staff, administration, his own children, his vice president have promised that these files would come out, and now we're being told it's a hoax. It just doesn't wash. And whether it's Republican, Democrat, or Independent, across all those categories, it's only like 5 or 6% who don't want the files out.
Do you think the president's at risk of losing his base over this issue?
Well, you don't lose your base over one single thing, but he's eroding his base. More importantly, if we don't take the right side of this issue, it's going to cost us votes in the midterms. People are becoming just.
See, now I'm kind of being picky here, but I'm consistent, right? You guys see how, just like some progressives who their goal is to save the Democratic Party, Thomas Massie ultimately wants to save his capitalist party code. He ultimately wants to say to we can't lose votes in the midterms. But anyway, that's a picky critique, but you guys see that's kind of the same thing that I'm upset about. Your goal shouldn't be rehabilitating the party, is achieving the correct position, period. But let's continue.
The midterms, people are becoming despondent, they're apathetic. Why would they go vote if they gave us the House, the Senate, and the White House? And
he is right, though.
Transparency and justice they were promised doesn't happen. Why should they vote in the midterms? And I think it could be a real problem for us. That's why it would behoove the speaker to bring this to the floor. It would be in best interest of this institution. Just vote this out, give it to the Senate, and let them do their thing.
Do you think the president is losing trust with members like you who want more transparency?
I wouldn't say he's lost trust. I'm sort of I would say, a different category. The president's consultants have spent $1.8 million against me. And I got a new tweet last night, or a Truth Social last night. And clearly that was because I've done this Epstein file. Like, dogs don't bark at parked cars, right? This bill is moving. This is coming to a vote. We've got enough Republican co-sponsors of the bill, twice as many as we need right now, such that when they sign it and every Democrat signs this, we're going to force a vote on it. It's not going away.
So I just want to show you guys that in full. I think that's Thomas Massie. This is how you do it. This is how you actually be a politician and advocate for your position, because he's putting maximum pressure on Trump while also playing the statesman game. He's not like lashing out and cursing Trump out that would piss off the Trump supporters. He just technically destroying Trump and showing them what it really means to be quote unquote American first. And another reason why this is a giant dub, as I mentioned, is because he forced Mike Johnson to show his hand and embarrass himself in a massive way. But Sarah, do you have anything you want to add regarding?
No, I want to watch the Mike Johnson.
Let's I don't know if you've seen this or not, but this is why it's a giant victory. Now, I'm a sidetrack once again because I always make the force the vote comparison. I do that because I want you guys to know how ridiculous the dumb left is. that they didn't understand that this was a good strategy. Imagine in a parallel universe where we forced a vote on universal health care in the middle of a pandemic. Then, after forcing that vote, Democrats did have to do press conferences just like this. Imagine if Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries are forced to do a press conference just like this and explain to their base. Remember, Democrats, even the Democrat normies, support Medicare for all at a 75% clip, maybe 60. I let's go with the low number. The low number I've seen is 60. 60% Democrats support Medicare for all, and you don't want to force this conversation? Guys, I know this is an old conversation, but you must understand how malicious these people are in a war that they didn't even understand basic strategy. You know what I mean? And Mike Johnson here is going to make an ass of himself because Thomas Massie forced a situation where journalists will ask him this question. The same situation that we forced the vote on healthcare, it would have forced journalists to ask Nancy Pelosi the question. They would have been forced to ask, hey, man, we are in a pandemic. Every other country has healthcare. Why wouldn't you? So you guys see how that could have been a massive PR victory for us, but they avoided it because it would have been so damaging to the Democratic Party. That is what Thomas Massie just did to Mike Johnson. Let's play this clip, and then I'll get you in here, sir, as you respond. I know the question is a little hard to hear. I'll let you know what they said.
With that, I'll take your questions. Chat.
Yeah, sorry, the reporter actually hard to hear, so I'm gonna say what he says. So the transcript is here. The reporter asked him that Thomas Massie said this is going to come back and bite Republicans. I don't know why the reporter's already hearing this. Essentially, the question he's asking Mike Johnson is, don't you think this is going to bite Republicans in the ass being revealed as pedophile protectors? That's the question. I know you guys can't hear it.
What do you say to those schisms inside your conference?
I say Thomas Massie is the one trying to bite Republicans. Okay, I'm not quite certain what his strategy is.
But it's just not him. I mean, otherwise you guys wouldn't be calling off.
So I just read it in the
How
first
is he
place.
trying to bite Republicans by making them show the Epstein list? How is that biting Republicans?
Do you guys think this is going to go well over with the MAGA base?
They're not behaving now? They're all going to get punished? I don't understand this. What is he talking about?
It doesn't make sense. He's not even trying to make sense. He's panicking. So I'll read the transcript. I'm sorry, because that video is kind of useless. You can't hear the reporter. So the reporter said, Thomas Massie said this is going to come back and bite Republicans. You guys heard him say, Thomas Massie is the one trying to bite Republicans. I'm not certain what his strategy is. And then the reporter fired back with an obvious pushback. And not just him. Otherwise, you wouldn't be calling off the week tomorrow. And this is the question that Mike Johnson is going to have to face until midterms. Like, Thomas Massie put him in such a fucked up position. This is why I'm praising him for this, even though I explained why I don't like him. But this is brilliant politics. This is true 5D chess moves. Because now Mike Johnson is going to have to explain this for a year and a half. And I'm going to continue the video where he responds to the reporter. You're going to see he has no explanation.
Well, I just explained why. We're not going to play political games with this. We've all been very clear and transparent.
We're not going to play political games, Sarah. He's been clear and transparent. Not even trying to sound believable.
The most transparent
the House
administration.
Rules Resolution.
Yeah, the most transparent administration ever. That's so Trumpian.
The House Rules Resolution sets a good standard and requires all credible evidence to be released, and that's exactly where the White House is. There's no, as I've said many times over the last, as I've said many times, there's no daylight between the White House and the House. You have to allow the legislation to ripen, and you also have to allow the administration the space to do what it is doing. The president.
He just said that there's no daylight between the White House and the House. You have to pause the entirety of the House. Just so Trump isn't exposed. He said we have to allow the White House to do their thing. We got to allow the White House to cover this up. I'll play it again. I don't know if you guys caught that. But he literally said, we got to let Trump cover this shit up.
As I've said many times, there's no daylight between the White House and the House. You have to allow the legislation to ripen, and you also have to allow the administration the space to do what it is doing. The president has said clearly, and he has now ordered his DOJ to do what it is we've all needed DOJ to do for years now.
Which is
And
to
that
release
get
MLK
released.
files and go after Obama?
So what is the DOJ doing? I'm gonna show you guys what the DOJ did a few weeks ago. That's the main story. You guys see how I'm building to it? So DOJ did show Donald Trump something, which led to Donald Trump fucking freaking out. So
Yeah.
let's continue.
That's,
You guys see why I went in the order I went, right?
now I see the setup. Oh, great.
And that is to get everything released. So they're in the process of that. There's no purpose for Congress to push an administration to do something that they're already doing. And so this is for political games. I'm very resolute on this. We can both call for full transparency and also protect victims. And if you run roughshod or you do it too quickly, that's not what happens. But I'm convinced that the DOJ is going to do their job. The administration is going to do their job, and we'll do our job. And so we'll see to it. Yes, ma'am.
So we all know that was maybe 45 seconds of him talking, and it was nonsense.
Nothing. He didn't
And
say
guys,
anything.
I don't have time to show you guys, but the right-wing reaction to this clip is just as you imagine. Like Mike Johnson, whatever credibility he might have had with Trump supporters because Trump endorsed him, the same way they were mad at Trump, they're done with him after this because Thomas Massie forced him to show his hand in a way that he never expected to.